on more is because like typically these people are in like Brazil or some other like subhuman country.
It was my understanding that everyone had heard.
Heard what?
Brian, don't! Oh, well, I hate Nick.
Hey everyone, how you all doing? Hope you've all had a good day. And I hope you enjoyed that clip of Harmon Smith being based. Either way, I just gave away what we're talking about today. Our main man Harmon Smith complaining about From Software and Capcom. And I thought I would just share this before we start looking at his video. Harmon, if you're gonna be racist on the internet, at least have the common decency to shit talk as you do it. Because unlike you, I wasn't raised like no bitch. Or, on the other hand, you're just outright racist, then we have a problem. Without further ado, let's get into this video.
Hello everyone, this is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I, the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful, Rabbit Hole, Lore and Frey, and the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon.
Harmon, you know the more you tell people that you're the author of this stuff and you keep trying to promote it, the less we want to read it. And God knows what you put into it with all your fucking shitty opinions on your channel.
So the last 10 years have been kind of interesting because we've seen a lot of like big video game franchises from the 90s and 2000s, the ones that fanboys used to weaponize against Nintendo. You know,
his self-awareness is definitely on point. I would be surprised if he did not consider himself a fanboy.
Final Fantasies, the Metal Gear Solids, the Mass Effects, the Dragon Ages, the Halos, the Gears of War, the Fables, the countless, like, you know, forgettable, boring, not even mid, like below mid, like.
I'll have you know, as a non-Nintendo player myself, the only thing I knew that they published was Zelda, and that's it.
Subpar, just below average, just pure trash.
Is this just a personal opinion, or is it commonly believed by everyone? Because I'll have you know, Halo and Gears of War and Fable slap so fucking hard. How dare you call them forgettable, asshole?
IPs that have been, like, weaponized against Nintendo over the years.
Well, I can't. You know what? I'm just gonna say this. I don't think that's how competition works, Harmon. But, I realize why I didn't cover you every 2 seconds. You really do know how to numb the brain.
A lot of these franchises just fall off the wayside. They're gone. They're over. They're never coming back, regardless of how often Microsoft tries to tell us that, like, oh, Perfect Dark is going to be a triple A, a quadruple A game. They legit said that. You know, Fable is getting produced. You know, Halo is coming back. We have Game Pass. Like, PlayStation has this and this and this.
Yeah, competition rises and falls over time, depending on quality, people who direct it, and the higher-ups' business strategy. It's as simple as that, Harmon. Nintendo has had that moment in their life, just like every other fucking big AAA company.
And this, regardless of what these people say, we are in this era where the classic video game IPs, the ones that people use to prove that Nintendo was for kids and that they're...
I mean, are they wrong? Just look at yourself as an example. You're a glorified man-child. The way that you act on the internet and your opinions really go to show that you are someone that is truly living up to that reputation. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I don't think Nintendo's meant for kids or just anything, or just any of their products, okay? Any of them. They're not meant for kids. Anyone can use them at the end of the day. It's that simple. But people like you, yeah, you're definitely a child.
Like the ones for men were on other platforms, Xbox and PlayStation. All of those franchises have fallen by the wayside. They're gone, they're irrelevant, they can't compete.
Harmon, I'd recommend keeping that same energy. Didn't Nintendo eventually fall out of the console market and switched over to more handheld approach? I mean, yeah, you could still technically call those consoles. Me, I just believe they're just big phones. But hey, it seems to be working out for them, and overall, the Steam Deck seems to be performing well in other competition with it. Yeah, that seems pretty good. Nintendo might actually have a good future ahead of itself.
Done. So, we've entered, like, a weird kind of, like, transitionary period where people are trying to do everything they possibly can to continue to pretend that Nintendo has any competition at all. So, of course...
I don't think people believe that Nintendo is not competition. It's pretty obvious that they are. They're just not in the console market. Because there's no way in hell they're competing with a console, like an Xbox or a PlayStation. Not in a million years. They don't even have the minimum hardware for that. Maybe Nintendo Switch 2 could be comparable. Who knows? The only thing it would really be competing with is a Steam Deck.
At any point in its relevancy, you know, Dark Souls is the big one, but there are a handful of other ones as well. And I think one of the go-to examples is Devil May Cry, right? Devil May Cry is, of course, a franchise that's been, you know, weaponized against Bayonetta, but I think...
Harmon, it's called competition, not weaponizing. I haven't played any of them, so I wouldn't know if they're similar or not. But since you're comparing them, they more than likely are. They're not trying to overbeat each other in the sense of them trying to be superior. They're trying to make more money than each other. They need to offer more value, Harmon. There's no weaponizing between each other. It's as simple as who wants to make more money, and who can offer a better product for the value it's at.
If we let this go unchecked, like, Devil May Cry will eventually grow to the point where you'll see people making weird comparisons about how it's better than Luigi's Mansion, better than Pikmin, better than...
If they're comparing it to games that are not similar, they're looking at certain aspects. If they're comparing it to games that are completely different, then that doesn't work, because it's not a fair comparison.
like anything else Nintendo makes, better than Astral Chain, I'm sure. Like, we're already seeing that to a certain extent, right? You know, I've already seen people, like, try to say that, like, you know, the original Resident Evil remake is, like, better than Luigi's Mansion.
What type of comparison is that? I would like to know who they are and where to find them on YouTube, because at this point, they seem really fun to criticize if you're getting this type of reaction out of them, Harmon. Please, share with the class, I would like to have some.
And use that to, like, weaponize against Nintendo. So it's not outside the realm of possibility that we could, like, compare completely different genres of games.
Whoever is doing that should only be comparing aspects that they do similar. If they're comparing the entire game, then they're just wrong outright.
In order to, like, present a narrative. But the thing is, right now, with Kojima out of the picture, with, you know, the big golden child, Hideo Kojima, you know, being retired from games and not making anything else, well,
When the fuck did he retire? If I'm correct, he's making a game for Xbox, isn't he? Are you just spouting shit out of your ass again? What about Death Stranding 2? Did you forget about that as well?
we'll get no more Metal Gear Solid games, no more new IPs, nothing from him. Death Stranding is a failure.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of him. I do think he wastes a lot of money on stupid shit that doesn't need to be in a game. I mean, making a game an entire walking simulator, I don't really agree with. But I can respect the craft. I think he is a pretty talented person. I just think you're a bit mad that it's not on Nintendo.
People are, like, desperately trying to find the new thing to get excited about. And right now, it seems like the narrative seems to be shifting towards hyping up Miyazaki and hyping up Itsuno. You know,
Bro, I'm fucking hyped for Dragon's Dogma 2. The first one fucking slaps. I hope Capcom shows it off. Please, they need to. That shit would be perfect. I need it. That would be an absolute W. And Armored Core? I'll fucking jam it, why not?
the From Software and the Devil May Cry guy as, you know, viable, relevant competitors to Nintendo.
Of course they are. They're some of the best developers and lead developers in the entire industry. They make some of the best games to ever exist. No shit.
These are the guys that are going to lead the next generation against Nintendo. These are the guys who are going to produce, like, the next generation of, like, Nintendo destroying software.
Where do you keep getting this narrative that they're trying to destroy Nintendo? Do you not realize that they just don't want to release on there because the hardware's so ass? If they made something equivalent to the Steam Deck, I'm sure you could get away with releasing those games on them. Problem solved. But we all know Nintendo is content with not releasing any new hardware for how long now?
Dragon's Dogma 2, Devil May Cry 5, Elden Ring. Like, you know, even now you're seeing a lot of people saying the DLC for Elden Ring is going to be better than Tears of the Kingdom, which is laughable in and of itself. But
if the leaks are true, then I would absolutely agree that it's definitely comparable or maybe even better.
it is, it's absurd, you know, like seeing just the lengths that people are going to try and push this narrative that Nintendo is just can't compete with these guys.
They can't compete as a console, but they can definitely compete as a handheld device. Why do you think they got pushed out of the market anyway?
You know, it doesn't ever end. You know, every generation or so, we see new IPs introduced. They're hyped up. They fall. Nintendo beats them.
I wish I could live under the same rock you could. I really do. It would bring me so much joy to be that ignorant as well as blind.
And we have new ones take their place. You know, I would argue that, like, From Software is already in their downward spiral. They have.
Could you please give some examples? I would love to hear it. Please. That's probably the one biggest problem with your content, is that you never offer examples or references to where you get this information and why you think it. It would really help your arguments.
Have been like, you know, eventually people are going to get tired of the Elden Ring formula. They're just like they got tired of the Dark Souls one and the second. Like,
they're the same thing with a slightly different formula. What are you on about?
you know, there have already been signs that, like, From Software can't really innovate or do anything new with their IPs. So,
Oh my god, that open world in Elden Ring? Yeah, that was maybe done by other people, but damn, it's the first for them. It's an innovation to them. Oh my god, that Ash of War system? That was an innovation. You know, let's stick on the Ashes of War for a little bit longer. The thing with the Ashes of War, right, is that they sat there and bothered to switch up from specialized weapons that only have special abilities to now giving it to every weapon. That right there is a technical achievement inside their engine.
again, From Software is already on the way out. You know, I'm sure Itsuno is already on the way out, but, like, it's just...
Fake, I want to see proof.
What are they going to hype up next? Like, so many people, like, who even remembers, like, Pragmata? I've seen people on, like, 4chan bring up, like, ooh, Pragmata. Like, who cares?
I have never heard of it, and it seems kind of interesting.
Like, oh, Monster Hunter World 2 is going to destroy you because it's not on Nintendo. Like, it won't be on Nintendo because Capcom was going to treat this like a real Monster Hunter game. Like,
What type of argument is that? Isn't Monster Hunter meant to be on Nintendo?
you have, it's a dying narrative. It really is. It's gotten, like, so much. It's become really diminished over the past several decades, but the past few decades, but it is still very much prevalent. And I, as a creator, as a content creator, as a fan of Nintendo, like, I just can't stand for it.
Damn, you're a Nintendo fan? I never knew they even existed. I thought you were an Xbox fanboy.
I can't respect how these people.
Ooh, I definitely picked a good time to use that clip of you saying subhuman, didn't I? Ooh.
People are in like Brazil or some other like subhuman country
that aged like a fine wine.
Constantly try and pretend as if there's like anything these no-name companies, developers, franchises can do.
Damn, From Software, Capcom, Microsoft, PlayStation are all unknown. I don't even know what to say.
To destroy Nintendo. I've seen so many videos talking about Bayonetta 3, Astral Train, how those games are infinitely flawed.
I don't know, I just remember that the Bayonetta actor got flexed on whoever that other person was that everyone disliked and thought was pretty funny, so I can't add much to this part of the conversation, really.
Compared to, like, the perfection of Elden Ring and Devil May Cry 5, and it's really not gonna stick.
I don't know about you, I believe Dark Souls 3 is still the best. Change my mind, I dare you try.
I would argue it hasn't sticked. I think Astral Chain has actually left more of an impact than a lot of people are willing to admit. Like, Bayonetta 3 was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, right?
You may like it, don't let other people tell you otherwise that you shouldn't like it. Just because everyone else may think it's shit, you may think it's good. It's as simple as that. There's no need for you to go out there and tell everyone that they're wrong or anything. Everyone's got their own opinion. Yeah, you may not agree with it, but at the end of the day, when it comes to something like that, are they technically wrong? If there is fundamentally flaws with the game, then sure.
I think the Devil May Cry's days are numbered, and people don't want to admit it. They are still in this phase of worshiping these creators, worshiping the ground they walk on, in the hopes that someday their savior will come and destroy Nintendo. And it simply is never going to happen.
Yeah, I have a mural to Miyazaki, and a cum jar, maybe, who knows. But that is it, people. That's the entire Harmon Smith video. We have made it to the end, and we can finally go to sleep knowing that Nintendo will always be on top. So, if you like what you saw, leave a like, subscribe,